The following program contains the opinions of the host, guests, and call-in participants. These do not necessarily represent the views of this show's distributors or sponsors. This program may contain obscene, profane, or otherwise objectionable language. Viewer discretion is advised. Hey, coming to cordless, everybody. It's Wednesday night, July 31st, 2024. It's 11 p.m. on the East Coast of the United States, 8 p.m. on the West Coast, 11 a.m. in Singapore, and where I'm sitting here in Northeast Minneapolis, it's 10 p.m. Central Daylight Time. I am Jim Peters, and welcome to another edition of Jim Peters at Night. This is episode number 143, if you're keeping score at home, but more importantly, this is our 1-year anniversary. We started this mess exactly a year ago today, July 31st, 2023. So that's interesting, I guess. I don't know. Yeah, so we got it going on. What's going on tonight? I'll tell you what's going on. Santa's going to call in. I've invited all the basic regulars and some of the regular callers, of which I had of whose I had the email addresses. I invited them to call in tonight. I hope they do. Telephone numbers on the bottom of the screen. You can call in with your camera too. Matter of fact, that's kind of sort of the recommended way. But I know a lot of you don't want to put your face on the screen. Also, the other thing is we get a lot of callers from Blog Talk Radio, which is audio only. It's our only audio only outlet. The other 5 places were video, but Blog Talk Radio runs a very, very nice live directory. You can see what's live at any time there. It's very convenient, and a lot of people find us that way. So if you want to call in with your camera, you'll see there's all this information down here. You go to a URL, you go to a web page on your device, jimandnight.com/call, and there's a big blue button at the top of the screen. You press that, you end up in our queue, you check your camera and mic and get the shit out of your teeth and all that sort of crap, and you're in the queue and I put you on, or you can call in like in a regular radio show. That number is going by right now, 563-999-3435. And if you want to send us a text in real time, I got a monitor here. I can see them. The text number is 408-458-5088. I encourage you to call in tonight. This is basically our 1-year anniversary show. We got nothing really. Well, of course, I'm insulting Jeff Meyer. I should say we got nothing coming on except Jeff. Sorry, Jeff. Anyway, yeah, Santa's calling in from, he's going to call in from Truth or Consequences, New Mexico, where he's on vacation. That'd be Santa Mr. Claus to you. And Jeff Meyer, CEO and publisher of Call News, our sponsor, we're going to be talking to him. He just got back from Africa. He was there for 2 weeks. That should be kind of interesting to figure out what's going on over there. And and your calls. And that's what we got. So I'm hoping you guys call in. So so you're wondering like what else is going on here? Yeah, let me tell you. So tomorrow night we usually do a show on Thursday. I'm taking tomorrow night off. It's the first of the month, and my mother's moving. She just turned 100. She's moving to an assisted living facility, so that'll be interesting. Next Wednesday, Martin Willis, a host of Podcast UFO, is joining us. He's going to be here. That is, from what I understand, it's the most popular UFO podcast in America. So that should be we'll find out what he knows. And then this is coming up on Monday, the 12th, which would be a week from this coming Monday. Jeff Shepard's going to be with us. He's an author. He's written 3 books, all on the same topic. And now he has a documentary coming out on that topic. He's an expert on the Watergate episode that happened in 1973-74. Actually, 72 to 74, what am I talking about? Where Richard Nixon basically had to resign from the presidency. He's an expert on that. He has an interesting theory, which I really have to ask him about because I don't quite understand how this would have worked. but he says this was all an elaborate plot to get Richard Nixon out of office. In other words, if you followed that at that time, or even follow history now, the general line is that the quote unquote plumbers, the White House plumbers, which was these guys that basically did nefarious things for the presidents and for the administration, busted into the Watergate office complex to rifle through the office of the Democratic National Committee. And they were caught by a security guard named Frank Wills. Now, this ruined Frank Wills' life, even though he was hailed as a hero by the press. He had trouble finding employment for the rest of his days, and he died basically in poverty. And he died relatively early. I think it was in his 50s. It's a very sad story. But doing the right thing, he caught these guys while they were rifling through this office. And so this is not good for him. But the reason I brought this up is because Shepard says that this whole thing, including getting caught rifling through this office, was part of a grand scheme that somebody on the Democratic side came up with to get Richard Nixon out of office. That's what he alleges. Now, he's got a documentary coming out. Matter of fact, I think the documentary is coming out a couple days before he comes on here. Once again, we got really lucky with Jonathan Tobin on here, the executive editor of the Jewish News Syndicate, the day after Netanyahu spoke to Congress. That was luck too. So it'll be really interesting to see what Jeff Shepard has to say. I don't understand how this would work, although I did learn something, and I've already been kind of reading up on this because the whole thing fascinates me anyway. You have to understand, first of all, everyone agrees on this. Nixon did not know that these guys were going to do this. This was done entirely by the Republican National Committee. He did not know that they were going to bust in the office building. He had no clue. He didn't find out till after it happened. And the other thing that I found out just recently, reading up on this in preparation of this interview, is it was actually the second time they busted into the Democratic National Headquarters. They busted in a few days before that and wiretapped the phones, and it turns out one of the wiretaps didn't work. So they broke in again ostensibly to fix the wiretap, supposedly. That's where they got caught. So, but then it did occur to me, if you didn't get caught the first time, you do it again just to get caught again. I don't know. I really don't. You got a lot riding here on just plain chance. And so that's why I have some questions about whether Mr. Shepard actually has a valid theory here or not. But I'm looking forward to talking to him. That's a week from Monday on the 12th of August. In the meantime, we have a couple other people on too, or arranging for that. I'm going to take the week off after starting on the Tuesday 13th. I'm going to take a week off because it's summer. And I need some, because I'm Johnny Carson. That's the reason. So you got the call-in number there. I want you guys to call in. Santa will be joining us in a few minutes. So I was thinking today, what have we learned in the last, year? But actually, I have to say, I did podcasts and radio shows for Conk News 4 years before I started this. So I've done now in the last 5 years, I've done about over 500 of these types of shows. The ones we did for Conk were not video. That was audio only. But still, it's the same basic deal. What have we learned? And what I realized, and I was talking about this last night even when we had Tom Palladino on, about the fact that what's happened in the last, let me try to do some quick math here, 7 years since the U.S. government admitted that the UFOs are real. So now I had a guy on named Steve McIntosh a couple weeks ago. He's a philosopher. And I don't know, at the end of that interview, I don't know how we got talking about, but I asked him, I said, so what do you think of the UFO situation? And he said, well, it's obvious now because of what happened in 2017 in the article in the New York Times, and that the fact the military fessed up to it. He said, we have irrefutable proof that UFOs are real. I said, yeah, we do. And so that surprised me. Now, he says he didn't buy alien abduction, and he didn't buy the fact that we had crashed UFOs. He didn't buy that. But he said, yeah, we have proof that the UFOs, unidentified aerial phenomena are real. They're real flying machines, and they defy our laws of physics. And that's all very true, and we do. But the reason I thought of that is what I mentioned last night too. That is, if you, I get more people who watch the show said they don't now say they don't believe in Bigfoot, but they do believe in UFOs. And I think if you'd asked people 10 years ago, it would have been the opposite. Bigfoot seems plausible. The UFOs don't. And now the Bigfoot does not seem plausible. And I find this kind of fascinating. Okay, we'll buy the UFO thing, but Bigfoot, no. And I thought, well, it's an undiscovered primate. It's something that's living out in the forest, and we haven't caught it. Yeah, I keep bringing this up. The giant squid was rumored to exist for 2,000 years, and they didn't catch one until 2006. 2,000 years of people on the seas were always talking about these giant squid animals. No one believed them. It was considered lore, and then they finally caught one in 2006. So the chances, I don't find this unbelievable at all that there's a primate living out in the forest that we have not caught. Now, Steve McIntosh, he was talking about this too, because he said he doesn't buy Bigfoot either. And I said, why not? He said, show me a body. And that's what most people think. So I just find this all kind of interesting. Nothing, in some ways, a lot has changed, and in some ways, nothing's changed at all. So you want to know what's happened the next few days? We're going to talk to Jeff about this stuff in a few minutes. So this is kind of interesting. Facebook says, you guys probably heard this, and I've had a terrible time with Facebook. We've been banned on Facebook. Now, I have not been banned on Facebook, but the show has. And what happened was, so we were broadcasting on Facebook for like the first 9 months we were here. We had a page on Facebook, and all of a sudden I got an email one day saying, well, we closed your account for, I can't remember what is, misinformation or some bullshit like that. And I said, what do you mean you've closed your account? Like, well, what have we done? And not only that, why all of a sudden? Like, well, we've been doing this for 9 months. So I wrote them, they wrote me back and said, oh, no, we're sorry, you made a mistake. We've reinstated your account. Yeah, they reinstated our account, but not the page for the show. That was banned. So I don't talk to me about Meta or Facebook or Instagram. I'm really down low on this. There's a guy named, I'm going to try to have him on, Mark Simone. He's broadcasts on WOR in New York City, and he's just recently had the same problem with Facebook. They've banned him for misinformation. Now we have been flagged on YouTube in less than 100 shows. We were flagged 5 times for misinformation. Because I guess if we talk about, it's mostly climate change. When we talk about climate change and how climate change is bullshit, that's misinformation. Apparently, if you're 26 years old and just graduated from college, and you think you know everything. So and you got your finger on the little button over at YouTube that bans people. Okay, but the thing is, so what's happened is that Meta is now, that would be Facebook. They've apologized to the Trump campaign for banning the iconic picture of Donald Trump right after he got shot. So with the flag in the background, and it looks vaguely like the Iwo Jima photo from the 1940s, from the Second World War, vaguely like that, and it's. You can't post it. If you post it, you won't be able. It won't upload. And so they've apologized, and they said, this is really what they said. This is their reason. They said that their AI bot was hallucinating. That was the word they used. Now I'm laughing at this, and yet today I got a whole bunch of news. I read about 100 news stories a day from all sorts of places. And I subscribe to, I'm paying $5 a month to a zillion different news outlets, just, so I'm on their good graces and stuff. I'm reading Mysterious Universe, which is a paranormal website. And I pay them for a membership too. And I know this, my friend Jazz Shaw, who comes on the show regularly, he has an article up. And his article is about AI. And he uses, or he says that the people in AI use the same term. They say that the AI chatbots actually, like, quote unquote, hallucinate. And Jazz's point is that if they're hallucinating, doesn't that mean they're conscious? And yeah, doesn't it? I mean, what are you dream? Are you dreaming? What do you call that? And this has been my point, and him and I talked about this on the show many times in the past. At what point do you know you've crossed the line into consciousness? Now, Steve McIntosh, the aforementioned philosopher, has been on here. He says, and I agree with him on this, that it would be not ethically, but would be basically impossible for a machine to have consciousness, because you have to be a living being to have consciousness. So, I mean, you could emulate consciousness, or you could even be really smart, but he thinks it's impossible. And I kind of do too, based on what I know about all the metaphysical flat crap that's floating around. I think that maybe it might be impossible, but that doesn't mean you couldn't fake it really well. And it also has nothing to do with intelligence at all. You know, him and I talked about this, and I've talked about this with other people on this show, about the fact there's a lot of people who are starting to think now that consciousness is not locally oriented. In other words, it's not in your brain. You connect to consciousness in the universe, and your brain is basically just a receiving device, kind of just like your cell phone or a television set. It's kind of the same thing. That's kind of that would be the theory, that you are, and when you die, the signal's still there, but your body can't get it anymore, and that's the difference. So I don't know if that's true or not, but that theory seems completely and is increasingly compelling, and also more and more people seem to be buying into that too. And so because of that, you'd have to be alive to basically receive consciousness. But Jazz, I'm going to put a link up to this article on Mysterious Universe, because you can read it for free. Jazz maintains, and he's done a lot of work with AI himself, and also he's talks to a lot of people developing it, that the AI, even the Chat GTP thing, it sometimes says stuff that's really, really creepy. That it seems to know stuff it shouldn't know, even if it has a vast database of information to pull stuff from. And he talks about this at length. So it's really kind of interesting. And on top of that, so the other thing I've been talking about recently, and and I've had people have disagreed with me on this quite a lot on this program, about the fact that I have posited that at some point in the future, although I don't know if it's going to be in my lifetime, at some point in the future, I think there's a possibility we might have to start dealing with, even conservatives are going to have to address either not universal basic income, because that doesn't make any sense, but some sort of negative income tax, because I think we're going to have that, because of automation, we're going to have massive unemployment worldwide. I think that's going to happen. And when I mean massive, I mean like over 50%. I mean, I've been to Italy, and if you go to like the Amalfi Coast in Italy, it's beautiful. Over 50% of the people there are out of work. They have nothing to do. So, and you know what happens when people have nothing to do? They start to engage in crime, if only just to entertain themselves. You probably don't know this. The vast majority of hacking, no, let's not say the vast majority, over 50%. The majority of computer hacking in worldwide is committed by Russian hackers, and not for profit. It's literally because they have nothing to do. They're just fucking around. So they just go around and they just break shit just to see if they can do it. It's like, so there's no money involved. They just do it to do it. So that's what happens if you have a lot of time on your hand. You're highly educated. But I've been maintaining that, especially this AI thing, it's going to be, people said, well, there's always been a labor transference, always. I mean, the classic example is Barack Obama talking about ATMs putting bank tellers out of work, but then it's been brought up too, the number of repairmen for ATMs kind of equal the number of people lost their jobs as bank tellers. So basically, there's people they're employed permanently. There's a transference of labor, but it's never, you're not doing the same job. But I maintain that that's going to break down at some point. A lot of people don't agree with me on that. But there's now a robot working at the Stellantis auto plants. They make Chrysler and Fiat cars. It's not your regular, usual auto repairman, repair line robot, where you got the arms and stuff like that. This is a robot that looks more or less like human, human. Remember, it looks creepily like the Isaac character robot on the Orville. If you watch that, it looks almost exactly the same. And this thing walks around the plant and helps out. It does human jobs. It just, well, I can help you with that. Oh yeah, okay, sure, fine. Whatever you're doing. So, and this thing doesn't need a vacation. It doesn't need, healthcare. It doesn't need any of that crap. It just walks around the plant and helps people. So, so you're going to tell, so this thing actually does, it actually literally replaces a person, literally. So, at any rate, yeah, this is going to be really interesting. I'm going to put links up on our show blog to this stuff, especially Jazz. I'm hoping to get Jazz on the show in a couple weeks, come back to talk specifically about this. Now, I think, I forgot to check the telephone number here. I don't know, is this Santa? Hello? Oh, it is. It's Santa. It's Santa. Hi. How you doing?
I'm doing great, Jimmy. How you doing today?
Yeah, I'm doing good. So do I got this right? You're in Truth or Consequences, New Mexico?
Oh, yeah, that's right. It's a really good way to blend in with everybody. They got a place down there, and everybody's so nice. Of course, I've got to hide my identity, and there's some guys there who have like those Christmas lights on their RVs. Have you seen this?
No, I haven't.
They decorate it out. Like at night, it's all Christmassy. It just brings me down. I need a vacation from that. That's why I go down there for the summer, is to get away from that. Well, have the gall to put that up there. But
okay, so let me ask you, once Christmas is done in December, what do you usually do?
Lots of partying. I think you talked to me last time. Well, I may have had a couple, and I still have a couple every once in a while. But the real fun is during the summer. So right now, we're doing a lot of things to ramp up our business. One thing that we're doing is we're shows, and I got to go to mall scouting to see which the best places to go for the Santas. One thing is we can't start fulfilling the orders until the orders come in, because it's the middle of summer. Nobody writes to Santa in the middle of summer unless they're crazy little fucks. And so you need to have somebody to cover during the summer, like that guy who's the lifeguard in off season. It's just, one or two wells there. And I heard what you were talking about. I was kind of thinking about maybe looking at that AI stuff.
Yeah, I was gonna ask you too. Do you have any of that going in the toy shop at all?
Well, here's our deal with the elves right now. We have to ramp up some hiring of the elves, because we used to be able to just have the inbreeding with the elves. So it was all tribal. We had all these elves, kind of like an Oompa Loompa situation. They just get dumber and dumber the more you do it. So you got to come up with different ideas. One of the ideas we had was we're implementing it now. It's our summer elf intern program. We don't pay them anything, but they still get the experience of working for Santa during the summer. We also like to outsource some things. I had, I had some issues with some of the elves trying to, unionize, and we had to bust some of that up still too. That's why I'm in the North Pole, is because of the limitation of the taxes. It's much better for business up there.
Yeah, I bet it is.
One of the things though is that we had kind of a nasty issue over the summer up in the North Pole. Apparently, goddamn polar bears got the Dasher. Just tore them apart to pieces, and it's not a lie. It's not a really good thing, but you probably don't know this, but we've replaced most of the reindeer over the years. They all kind of die, and we'll probably have the fourth Rudolph, kind of like that Buzz McKenzie dog a long time ago. They had 4 of those. We do the same thing with us, but it's just a nice, relaxing way to spend my summer. I'm working on my cannonball.
And your what?
Coming along really nice.
I'm sorry, you're working on what?
Well, I'm by a pool, and I like to work on my cannonball.
Oh yeah. Yeah. So
when you jump in, it's a big splash and everything, Jimmy. Hey, by the way, I wanted to congratulate you on 143 shows.
Yeah.
That's an amazing number. I want to throw another number out for you, 147. Just 4 more than your shows. Do you know what that number is?
No.
All right. So you're going to be on the naughty list for a while because that's the number of days till Christmas, and you didn't know that.
No, I didn't. I didn't know that. I'm really sorry.
Buddy.
I'm really sorry. I didn't know that.
1 week away from now. So
Yeah.
You gotta start wondering what you're going to be doing for Christmas.
And you're counting down already.
Oh, we have the number up on the board. It's kind of like that 0 accidents since so far, but it's just a countdown to Christmas. Everybody likes it. And you get closer, and it's kind of an inverse graph where the days start going down for Christmas, but the stress level goes way up.
Yeah.
It's like exponentially reversed because the closer it gets, the more it's just, these people on Earth, they just keep screwing, and they double their population and double their. What does that mean for me? It's just one Santa. When I was around even 40 years ago, it was 4 billion people on the Earth, and now it's 8 billion people on the Earth at least. That's double.
Yeah.
We still have the same amount of people working. It's kind of like working for businesses these days, right?
Yeah.
Profits go up, the work goes up, but you still have to work the same amount of hours. That's why they're bringing in all the robots.
Well, why do you think humans are reproducing so much?
Well, I think it's a mixture of boredom and curiosity, and I think it's because it's self-loathing and they really don't know what else to do. I don't understand it, Jimmy. I don't understand why you got to put that thing in the other thing and then push, and then you got babies coming out. And so it's just when you think about it, it's a really weird concept. It really is. I like what the elves are doing because they go. I don't know how they do their stuff, but they like it apparently. I got to keep them from doing that during the work hours, but
yeah, you do.
it gets out of hand.
Yeah, you gotta keep them from doing that.
You won't believe what some of these sex people ask for Christmas. It's outrageous, and we have a whole department just for those toys that they need. You got the kids' toys, but adults, they ask for Christmas presents too, and they gotta give them their big little electric things and their buzzers and their things that go bzzz, and things that make them go wee. So a lot of splashing and squirting all over the place.
Oh my God, Santa! Oh Jesus Christ!
Lots. You don't know. There's just so many things you have to consider with the delivery of presents.
I don't see how you do it.
Hours in a day, twice as many people. And 50 years from now, when I'm still alive and still doing this, it's going to be 16 million people.
Yeah.
Billion people. And then it's going to be more and more. And then here's what I'm worried about, James. Just a little thing. You have this Elon Musk guy, and he's trying to get everybody to go over to Mars.
Well, yeah.
Thinking, am I going to have to go to Mars
now? I was
That's
just about to ask you that. Yeah.
Wrench thrown into my supply and demand chain. It
Right.
just doesn't work out for me. So I got to think about the future and see where the humans are going to be.
You ever think about retiring?
I can't. It's not an option. What would happen?
Yeah.
all those little crotch fruit from all those people doing it, they're going to be mad as hell. And nobody's going to,
yeah.
They're going to revolt. So there's no quitting. Can you imagine a world without Santa?
No, I can't.
Nobody can.
I can't. Although
it's just ridiculous.
The thing about Mars is that if you don't start, then at least you don't have to quit there. That's a big. You going to Mars, that's a big deal. It's a second planet.
Well, I can't. As long as they have a postal system there, if somebody, wishes for Santa to bring him presents on Mars, I guess I'd have to think about that one. Maybe I could have some kind of legal thing thrown up there, but kids don't understand that. But maybe there's a new Santa spin-off for Mars.
Yeah.
There's some ideas we could go with on that, but I don't think I can refuse children.
You can call it Zoldar or something.
Zoldar. Yeah. Zoldar, the Bloombley reindeer, had a very Zoldar blee. And if you ever Zoldar,
Oh God!
yeah, it's nice. Oh, hold on, I can have another drink here. Oh, yeah.
How long are you going to be in Truth or Consequences?
It is quite the area, and it, you know, in New Mexico, it's right near the White Sands National Park. And I picked that spot because it kind of reminds me of home. It's all white sand, kind of reminds me of snow because there's not really a lot of snow in New Mexico, but this is a beautiful state.
That's a good place for you to do an emergency landing if you ever need one. You know, you got all those dry lake beds and stuff.
Oh yeah. And some of those roofs though are kind of, they have those clay roofs. Those I prefer the shingles actually, because the clay roofs, those are so slippery. They just I rolled on my ankle, and I had 6 weeks of laying up in a bed and PT, all that physical therapy. It just wasn't really good for my ankle.
Yeah.
And a lot of people says, no, it's the weight, Santa. And I'm telling you, it's not the weight. I'm just not really good with my ankles. It has nothing to do with my weight.
No.
Clear. My weight had nothing to do with my ankle being rolled on.
No. I don't think your weight has anything to do with anything.
I kind of want you to say that, Jimmy. Just say that it wasn't Santa's weight.
Yeah. No. I'm never going to tell you you're overweight ever. You know why? Love.
No. Oh, hold on. I just put you back on the nice list.
What? What did you say?
I just put you back on the nice list.
Oh, okay. Oh, thank you. Thank you very much.
How many
Thank you.
days were left?
Thank you.
So let me ask you something.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm planning for next Christmas and everything. What are you planning for your show in the next year?
Well, I got to tell you, we do have some plans, but I'm not ready to announce them yet. So things are happening over here. So yeah,
I like that. Big surprises.
I know.
That'll be nice.
Yeah.
Big good news, right?
Big surprises. Yeah. So no, but I'll tell you before I tell anybody else though. So.
Oh, all right. That'll be nice. Just don't tell one of the elves. They get mixed up in the telephone game.
No.
I get it. That's gonna be telling you.
Actually, Santa, I got to tell you, the elves kind of scare me.
Oh, they do. They have their own little things. They have their break rooms where they go, and it's just, you just don't want to mess with them. Just let them do their thing and stay away. Again, unless they're trying to form that union.
Is it true that they're chain smokers too?
Yeah, and it's not. They'll do anything. It's tobacco, it's clothes, a lot of clothes. You get that all around in the toy shop. It's just nasty.
Yeah,
I mean, it really is.
I know.
I can't really do anything about it because OSHA really doesn't have any. There's nothing up on the North Pole as far as regulations, so it's really free for all, and that's the same with the workers too. I'd say about 50 to 60 elves die a day during the high season. Stupid crap. It's their own fault. They just are stupid elves.
Well, Santa, I got to let you go because I got another guest online here, but it's really, really been nice talking to you. So, we were
really nice talking to you and checking in for my busy summer of relaxing at the RV park in Truth or Consequences, New Mexico. Thank you, Jimmy. Again, you're on the good list, and I look forward to having your Christmas present ready in 147 days.
Thank you, Santa. But I hope we check in with you one more time before then too. So,
absolutely. Yeah.
We wanted to check in with you once a quarter, but we missed the quarter this time. So,
Oh yeah. Well, we'll check in soon, and you have a great rest of the day.
And you too, man. Nice talking to you. Always
having me on your show.
Always a pleasure. Ho ho ho.
Ho ho ho. Merry Christmas.
Thank you. That's Santa Claus. That's who that is. That was pretty good. I enjoyed that. They lose 50 to 60 elves a day. Well, I guess it's just replaceable. All right, so we're going to play Jeff Myers here. We're going to play some 12 seconds of bumper music and put them on. Here we go. Jeff, are you here?
I am. I don't know how I follow Santa though. That's rough,
I know. He's pretty
especially after he's had a couple of cocktails.
well. Yeah, that's actually the problem. That's the problem
Right.
right there.
That's always a problem after someone has a couple of cocktails.
How you doing?
I'm doing all right. Back
You're,
in America.
you're in the second floor, your 6-car garage in your
Yes.
house in Prior Lake, Minnesota.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. So now, all right,
Reestablishing my first world problems after being in Africa. So
yeah, you were in Africa.
yeah.
So you were there a couple of weeks, was it?
Yeah, it was supposed to be 12 days, ended up being 13 and a half with the whole flight debacle. Which again was to me a worldwide test of what happens if I don't think they calculated this was going to affect air travel, but they never miss the advantage of watching what these things cascade. We've worked for years together on tech things, and just the explanation that they had put a patch out, right, to fix something and didn't send the instruction package these guys aren't doing this in a garage. There's a checklist of things that are going to happen, a review of it.
Yeah.
Not even you would think. It's just that's how this is big time business. And then the patch doesn't go, and they just watch what happens cascading throughout the world.
Well, the amazing thing is you called into the show while you were gone, and you I don't think most Americans know this. You got stuck in Paris. Not like
we got stuck in Nairobi.
Nairobi.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it was those type of airports are in really rough shape because that type of international airport over there is, I mean, they just have the 787s and the 777s moving mass numbers of people. And so one delay throwing 300 people astray 4 or 5 times in a day is just catastrophic to the system and just backs up. So, again, I'm not saying it was a conspiracy. I'm just saying that'd be like Ford sending out a car off the assembly line with no tires on it.
Yeah.
And it gets loaded onto a car hauler and it gets delivered to the dealership. And they're like, oh, there's no tires.
I don't know if you heard part one of the show is talking about this article Jazz Shaw wrote about AI. In this very article, he talks about the CrowdStrike thing. And he says, well, what happens if AI actually did this on purpose? I mean, everyone's getting really paranoid, but, he has a point. We don't know if there's no proof that it didn't. I mean, that's not really that
right.
good.
No, again, you're right. I mean, the ability for people not having to answer for these kind of mistakes is it's getting to be a contagion in our society, whether it's the broad that was running the Secret Service and then the next Nimrod that went up to Capitol Hill with the same bullshit. Try that in an IRS audit.
Yeah, really.
Right.
I know.
Try that in anything, state audit, anything where they have you, an individual, pinned to the carpet. You're done. They will ruin you.
Or even just if in your job, in any private business, you'd be toast.
Yes. Yep. Yeah. It's in your opening remarks about the Nixon Watergate thing. Again, that to me, that's just a replay. Nixon Watergate was the forebearer to the Trump wiretap thing.
Yeah, I agree with you.
That's they didn't need to play that card again. They'd already played it, but they had it in their deck. And when it was time for them to play it, they played it again. And then everyone, again, just continues on with this march in America that I just want to go to work and earn more money so I can have more shit.
Yeah.
And we're, with all of our stuff, we're absolutely no happier than anywhere else on the planet. And got to fortunately go to Africa and witness, you know, their limited things that they just don't, you know, they could give two shits that Microsoft had a problem.
Yeah. Well, yeah. So why did you go to Africa?
I went on a mission trip with a church group that has a school there. And I happened to know one of the pastors that was going to be working with this group. And so I had told him years ago that if there was an opportunity, I'd love to go. I wanted to see, I've been to Europe a few times for business. I just wanted to get a feel for it. I read a book called Africa is Not a Country before I went, which kind of laid out kind of the history of how the Europeans chopped up the continent. That was in 1862. The United States was invited to the meeting, but you know, at that point, we were basically teenagers.
Oh, Civil War too.
Yeah, had no idea what the hell. We didn't want that. Where they basically established all the landlords, and so 160 years later, that's what you witness. Things are discombobulated. This is my view. You know,
that's why you're on though.
I was there for 12 days. I wasn't there to solve any problems. I just wanted to observe and learn.
Right.
But if you can't own anything and you're just a renter, you basically have government housing everywhere. And there's different scales of it, right? I mean, I was in an area of Kenya called the Kericho Valley, which is about at an elevation of about 7,000 feet. So it's a prime growing area for tea plants, which basically are beautiful shrubs, manicured every 2 weeks because they pick the tops off for the tea. We got to go through a tea factory, which was super interesting. This massive building, very few people there that have to keep this operation going. And within 2 hours of the tea being picked, it's to a plant and starting the process to be converted into what we get on the store shelves. So it was a beautiful, green, luscious area.
I'm going to ask you a stupid question. Kenya is a country, right?
Correct. Yes.
Right. Okay.
Yep. Yeah. And it's in East Africa. So it's, we were, you know, right at the equator. In fact, we drove right on what they call it, the invisible line, the safari driver. So we spent 10 days at this school, and then we went on 2 half-day safari rides. And as he was announcing what we were doing for the days, like, and we'll be stopping at the imaginary line. I mean, the language barrier, their national language is English, but most of them speak Swahili. So we stopped at the imaginary line, and you know, it was a tourist trap. It was it was just like Walt Disney World. They show you this gimmick about a toothpick floating and how it doesn't spin this way or that way because of the pole. And then they give you a certificate and want, you know, 10 American dollars for it. So
yeah. Hey, can I ask another stupid question? Was it hot?
No, it wasn't.
Oh, really?
I mean, we were in the area we're at 7,000 feet. So it was more mid 70s. And if the sun was out during the day, it would rain in the late afternoon for an hour, get a nice thunderstorm, and it would clear out. And when it was overcast, it was in the low 70s. So good working weather. I was assigned to, I don't have any educational talent. So I chose to build a 2-room mud hut house with 5 carpenters, and it was a great experience from the standpoint of they have a string, a single bubble level that they put on the string to check the levelness of things. A hammer, a handsaw, a planer, and nails. I asked if we had to put hinges on a door, and I asked if do you have a screwdriver and screws, and they just said no.
No,
No.
don't have that.
We got
Yeah.
this big bag of nails, and we nail everything.
Well,
This house we built will last about 30 years. It's got a concrete floor.
uh-huh.
It's
So
got
are you making bricks out of mud? Is that what you're doing?
No, you build it, you stick build the house. So it's got vertical timbers in it, and then they
Uh-huh.
wrap it horizontally with branches off of trees. And so they put the branches on the inside and outside and basically make a cavity. The mud comes from the clay from a riverbank, and that's all transported there. And then they mix it by pouring water on it, mixing it with their feet, and
Does it solidify pretty well?
yeah, depending on the temperature and the amount of humidity, it can take up to 30 days for it to totally cure.
Uh-huh.
And then they basically will paint it to keep the water from affecting it. Not that it would make it like runny after, during a rainstorm, but it dries very firm. But again, they're trying to keep whatever creepy crawlers are around from penetrating the walls. Has a galvanized steel roof. So great. I'm sure it's great sleeping in if you're at night with a light rain. It just hums you to sleep. Not a lot of bugs. We didn't have to worry about like mosquitoes.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
Or not like Australia where you have to worry about scorpions or flies
Yeah, I mean,
inside your hand or any of that sort of shit.
They say any snake there, avoid because it can kill you one way or another. It either bite you or crush you.
Yeah, wonderful.
So,
good.
It's one of these things where you're driving down the road, some person's got their cows on the ropes with the post in the ground, and they're just munching on the grass on the shoulder. Half a mile down the road, there's 4 baboons sitting there watching you drive by.
Uh-huh. Pointing
the
them
roads
at you.
Yeah. The roads we took were built by the Chinese in this Belt and Road Initiative.
Uh-huh.
Which I thought was
is that relatively recent?
Oh no, China's been doing this for years.
Oh, okay.
These roads are they're not like brand new.
Right.
The other interesting thing was there was no traffic control. And what I mean there is and I'm still trying to think, we did drive through, basically downtown Nairobi on our return journey to the airport. On the way out, it was after 23 hours of travel and about 5.5 hours of some kind of sleep mode I was in. So I was a little foggy as we left town the first morning, but obviously it's European, so there's roundabouts. That's common. But then they use speed bumps to slow you down when you approach the town or to keep traffic under some kind of speed control. And then various places along any road, there'd be a cop on the shoulder in a high vis vest, basically stopping every 5th car for a little cash.
Oh,
a little cash, a little grift.
Yeah. Right.
They still have a bunch of civil unrest. So originally the civil unrest in Kenya was the government wanted to impose a 1.5% tax for the working class for housing because they're hundreds of thousands of houses behind or whatever the World Bank has said. That kind of calmed down because basically the people took to the Capitol and said, bullshit, we'll burn the whole city down. So the governor rescinded it, or the president of Kenya rescinded that legislation. But in the meantime, between that, which happened like in late June or early June, and the time I got there on the 11th of July, the cat had come out of the bag. Some legislator had disclosed that the government was going to lease the operation of Nairobi Airport to the Indians. And the citizens again said, no way. We don't want that money leaving the country. I mean, and that's really the issue. We drove on our way to a safari past tons of growing greenhouses. I mean, thousands of acres of greenhouses growing vegetables and whatever, all for export, flowers, export. And so a couple nights when we were in Kericho, there was actually a curfew. And so at 9 o'clock, the streets were silent. The dogs didn't bark. The roosters didn't crow at 3 a.m. It was literally dead silent. It was amazing.
Wow.
Absolutely amazing. So the escalation of the working class there, their only way to get the government is to slow down commerce, right?
Yeah.
And everything's trucked there. We went by one rail line. And I said to this person on the bus, I said, look at that. There's a rail line and there's no power running along it. I mean, you look at an American rail line, and we set it up with, here's the railroad for the train, and here's a line for the Morse code, right? The phone system for communication.
Right.
Because you could see if it was damaged, it was right there.
Right.
So, and they were like, what? I'm like, oh, yeah, okay. Another fucking dumb American has no idea how things work in America for simplicity's sake, right?
Uh-huh.
For simplicity's sake.
And you were with what? You were like, we're 50 to 60 people, right?
53 marshmallows dumped at the airport. Yeah. Oh, yeah. 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 And I mean, there was no racial tension. One of the things I learned, Jim, is we're educated to be of racism.
No shit.
Our government is if someone wants to argue with me, and again, first of all, I'm not in denial. I'm a white man there. They're going to be subservient to me anyways, right? Because that's the culture. I get that. But that doesn't mean if 5 white people showed up in my neighborhood or black people showed up in my neighborhood to help with build a house, someone would call the cops, right?
Yeah.
And these neighborhoods in the middle of these fields, every person within, I don't know how far they walked to come and introduce themselves and thank us for helping out Esther get another a bedroom and another cooking area for the 9 kids she's raising, right?
Uh-huh.
That's just not. So we're taught to be racist.
Yeah.
And it's really going to come out in this election because it's everything. It's what are you? Are you white, black, Democrat, Republican, employed, unemployed? They're just Kenyans.
Yeah.
And they're all fucking hungry. Everyone over there is starving to some degree.
And why is that? Especially if they're growing so much food? Is that
because the food is export revenue for the government?
They sell it all, huh?
And what the people there grow for themselves and try to trade or sell to each other is what there is. I mean, we went in a grocery store. They've got a grocery store, but there's 50 million people in that country.
Yeah.
It's a massive, massive amount of people. That in the outlying areas, it's all barter. And barter is really a way of saying there's no value. There's no established value. There's no standard manufacturer's suggested retail price, MSRP.
Right.
And so everyone starts here, going to end up, they want to end up in the middle. The buyer wants to end up on the bottom.
Yeah.
And so you can never get anywhere. Plus, if America is had every international flight come in here, and every person on that plane brought an extra suitcase of, you name it, pencils, shoes. It totally disrupts their economy because you can't put a shoe manufacturing place, establish one there, because there's a million shoes that come in for free that get sold on the side of the road.
Right.
So that just, all that economic discombobulation is hard. Hold on, Mike.
Is the money relatively worthless?
Yeah, $1 is, the conversion rate was $1 to 120 Kenyan shillings.
Uh-huh.
And again, I'm no economic expert. These are just observations I had. We stayed in a nice hotel, had running water, had hot water. I never had any issues with the food or, got any kind of diarrhea, any of that. That stuff. I mean, there were people that were fighting that. That was one thing. I got sick on the flight back, somewhere either on the Kenyan flight or the flight from Paris back to Minneapolis.
Yeah. Was the local food good? I mean, did you like it?
Yeah, I mean, it was. They had chicken, beef. I mean, there's. I didn't know if. Wasn't really like spicy that I ran into anything spicy. I mean, we had fresh pineapple, watermelon, and avocados every day because that was sold on the side of the road. Yeah, it was a great experience. I'm super glad I took advantage of it. I'll forever be grateful that I had the opportunity to go and witness it and to do construction, which is, what I've done most of my career. And to see how you can do it with not a power tool in the area.
Yeah. Yeah. So do those mud huts, do they have running water or anything like that? Or?
Well, there's an outdoor spigot that's tied to a water source that's got a pump to it. So it's got pressure.
Uh-huh.
I don't know where the actual well was for it.
Yeah.
I don't know how many houses. And again, I didn't want to be. I need 8,000 questions answered. That kind of a nosy bastard.
Yeah.
But there was some kind of pecking order in this neighborhood where the person I think that probably controlled most of these, where these homes were, was at the top of the hill.
Uh-huh.
And then below them were all these renters. I believe they were renters to this guy. But yeah, you'd be walking down a path basically through a sort of wooded area with these tea plants around you, and there'd be a cow tied up, or 10 chickens, or 5 goats in a pen, things like that.
Uh-huh. Or somebody's wife.
Yeah.
Just kidding.
Yeah, that's a whole nother part. I can't explain the whole that part of it. Yeah, there's lots of little kids that are fatherless.
Oh,
It's just that way.
That's
so then
true
we
in
go
America too, unfortunately.
I think it's just true. That's just a human thing.
Yeah, right.
So then we go from Kenya, just supposedly going to stop in Paris for a couple hours.
Yeah.
That doesn't happen. Obviously, we finally get to Paris 3 days before the opening ceremonies to the Olympics. I didn't feel any need to go down to see the Eiffel Tower. It is what it is.
That's right.
We were in a suburb around De Gaulle Airport called Rossi. Walked around there, ashtrays on every frickin' table. People just sucking on heaters.
Oh, they are. That's right.
Drinking espresso. It was, that part I thought was awesome.
When it comes to smoking, they're still in the 1950s.
Oh yeah. I mean, if you aren't having a cigarette, they look at you like must be a
I
fucking
know.
American.
What's wrong with you? I know.
Yes. And again, to me, the experience of Kenya was awesome. Had a little bit of guilt feelings going on these safaris, because we just left these people. Their lot in life isn't going to change much.
Well, when you say safari, though, let's define the term. You're not actually shooting animals, are you?
No, right. These are
Right.
driving safaris to look
Right.
at animals.
Right.
Again, the shooting safaris are for revenue for the government, right? You want to shoot a cat, drop them $20,000 or something, and you can shoot the cat. But just that transition, again, it's commerce. I get it. They're charging everyone a fee to go in these parks to see these animals, which to me, I've always had the contention. We've talked about it years ago on Conk. Zoos are fraudulent. For us to have a zoo, for us to have an elephant in Minneapolis at the Minneapolis Zoo is ridiculous.
Yeah.
Save your money, go on a safari, help that country economy.
Well, yeah, we have talked about this before. I just want to clarify my feeling on this. 70 years ago, it might not have been a bad thing because there's
Correct.
no other way you could see this stuff, right? But now, no, the zoos now are gone the way of public broadcasting.
Yes,
it's like
100%.
You don't need anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's cruel on the animal, and it's government gluttony of the dry wine snipping gray-haired bitches.
Right. We should have a zoo. Oh yeah, right.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Fuck you. You go live in it and walk in a 50-foot square area for the next 300 days and see what you think. So back to this change of all of a sudden, in 8 hours, you're out of Africa and you're into Paris,
Yeah.
And Paris is hosting the Olympics, another fraudulent thing brought on the citizens of the host country.
No,
I mean, when these pricks,
I got to ask you something. You've never smoked, right?
I stole my mom's cigarettes for years. She smoked Alpine.
Oh, okay.
She thought she had a smoking problem. It was me.
I didn't know that.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
Rosemary to this day says, "Bastard stole a bunch of cigarettes."
Okay.
It just never stuck. Right? Everyone's tried smoking that I know.
Right.
But again, these liberals talk about saving the planet, and every 4 years they take a city, build all sorts of shit going to use for 2 weeks, and then waste the money, and the citizens have to pay for it. They don't even get to go enjoy it.
Yeah.
And so to me, these Olympics are it's good to watch that this stupidity is global.
Okay.
And citizens of the world just sit there and take it hard and dry.
Right.
And just bend over because here comes the Olympics to your town, and your economy is going to suffer for the next 15 to 20 years maintaining this nonsense. If we were advancing like Kamala and the Democrats have said to the blacks, we're going to make it better. We're going to change. We're going to worry about global warming. They'd say, we have the Olympics in 2 places. Here's where the summer is. Here's where the winter are going to be. Bid on it. You're going to get it for the next 400 years. And if you want to go watch some dumb shit go down a ski hill, this is where you go.
Well, I don't know. Do you agree with me on this? I have the feeling that at least here in the United States, people are really, really getting fed up with this.
Well, people are they know it's coming out of your pocket.
Yeah, that's right.
It's coming out of your pocket to entertain the elites.
Yeah.
And the elites blow their nose on you.
That's correct.
I mean, and it only takes so many generations, and all of a sudden it's like, I don't give a shit what my dad says or my mom or my grandpa. They can go to hell.
Yeah.
I'm not going to tolerate it.
Yeah. Now, I don't know if this happened while you were gone. I don't know if you saw Janet Yellen in some interview said about 2 weeks ago. She said that, we can solve the climate change crisis, but we need $78 trillion.
Yeah. Yeah. It's
Yeah.
like, just go over to that tree and pick that off. There's a
right.
$78 trillion bill there. Pick it off.
That's right.
Yeah. No, people, the craziness of this fast forward that our lives are stuck on, someone's just holding the fast forward button. Someone's going to walk up and slap that hand off sooner than later. It will happen in our lifetime.
I
totally
think so too. I think it might even happen relatively soon, like in the next
Yes.
5 to 10 years.
And it's not going to be pretty, but it has to happen. And you just have to be prepared for. There was a book written years ago called Who Moved My Cheese?
Yeah, right.
It's going to happen. I mean, the things you thought you were going to be able to do or not do, it's going to get jumbled. And then just take a breath, figure out what you want to do with the new opportunities, and live a happy life, live a simple life. And everyone will be much better. So that's my first, I'm thinking of first world problems after being in the third world.
Yeah.
Sorry for the hack.
No
The
problem.
Olympics is a glowing gluttony of people are going to just say, screw this. It's ridiculous. Especially if you're going to let women get the shit kicked out of them in an Olympic boxing match by a guy.
And
And people watch it.
Yeah.
Shouldn't someone throw a chair at that son of a bitch?
Yeah. And not only that, Jeff, the spokesman for the Olympic Committee said, well, how did she put it? We treat them as women because they are. No, they aren't. They're not women.
Yeah. That's
Stop it.
That's liberal bullshit.
That's right. That's
And
exactly
again,
what it is.
if I can try to get you banned more across platforms, it's this. In the discussions in the next 90 some days before the election, if a liberal says something about Donald Trump, remind these mental midgets he was in the presidency for 4 years. And if you're in a blue state like Minnesota, the Democrats have run the state. I'm 58 years old, going to be 59 this year, have run it for 51 of the 58 years. So when they say things suck, you say, go look in the mirror. You're the one that sucks. And when you say that, they shut up, because I had to say it to a few this trip, and they just don't know what to say. But you can shut them up. Go away. You voted for it. I didn't.
Jeff, but the thing is, why don't they understand? I don't understand why they can't see it.
Because no one says it to them. These are adult children that need to get slapped up the side of the head and say, the reality is you want something, but you don't want to change. And so you vote for the same stupid shit.
Yeah.
The blacks are going to prove it. They're sick of being talked about as a color instead of a person.
Yes, they are.
Right? Trump had it today at the deal with the journalists.
That's right. But the interesting thing about that is, though, the black journalists in that caucus, they're arguing with each other, probably for the first time ever.
For sure. Yes. Because
they're
their lot is stuck.
Yeah.
Their lot in life is stuck because they hear one thing and are told one thing by the politicians. They vote for them, and they're still stuck.
Yeah.
And again, it's generational. There's a fourth turning coming. People are going to say enough.
You're the second person I've heard recently to use that term. Yeah. The fourth turning. Yeah.
It is what it is. I heard a deal. This is another first world thing. This statement's out online. You can look it up. It says the purpose of a system is what it does as a system. And so when you put that to anything, like, you have to understand that our government wants racism.
Absolutely.
It keeps the jails full. It keeps us arguing with each other, so we won't help each other. And a certain amount will just be reliant and believe the government is there to help them.
We talked about this on podcasts on Coin News, And in 2015, the racial problem in the United States was almost done. Not quite,
Yeah.
but almost. It had almost solved itself. And then these people come in, and all of a sudden, everything's racist.
Yeah. And again, we're talking a 400 or 500-year-old problem because of slavery. America didn't invent slavery. It was an offshoot of our European descent, right?
Yeah.
It was a global deal for labor. So
we were also the first country that tried to solve it too.
And we did.
Yeah,
we did solve it.
Right.
And so when you think of that, it's that we are the only place in the world that can make those changes because of the way our government is set up.
That's correct.
And so when you think of this, people stick around and in America, you can do it a long time because of prosperity. I think of conservative talk radio, right?
Yeah.
It was revolutionary.
Yes.
What was Limbaugh around 25 years ago?
Yes. He started in 89. Yeah.
Right. And so, and when you think of the statement, the purpose of a system is what it does. Conservative talk radio. Either I got to read this from my notes, and you've read my notes, so I need an interpreter in here. So
I got the same problem.
So I think of, and I'm just picking on Sean Hannity because to me, he's the best example. He's had a 20+ year run.
He's an 800-pound gorilla too.
Right?
Yeah.
He still will have Lindsey Graham, a warmongering son of a bitch, on his show. Right? Lindsey Graham has never done anything for the conservative movement other than lip service and fill his pockets. It's just a fact. I don't personally dislike Lindsey, just I'm measuring up how he has helped the American citizen, and it's neutral at best, but to be honest, it's a negative. He's done negatively, like all legislators.
Yeah.
So either conservative talk radio is an ineffective form of communication for Hannity, or he's an ineffective communicator. And I only say that because we're still talking about the same stupid shit, and he's got the platform. And he won't look in the mirror and say, I'm either in the wrong place doing this or I'm the wrong guy doing it. I should step aside and let someone else try it.
Yeah.
Right? And so this guy's got a 20-year run. He's making $30 million a year. When's enough? Especially when you're ineffective. Now, if you're the home run leader, keep swinging the bat till you're not.
You're preaching the choir because I don't know what the answer. I don't know why either.
I don't. Again, I don't know what I'm trying to say there, other than that was one of the things that came to me as I was taking notes on the flight back about kind of my experience. And then I just have a couple of political things. Again, today, Trump needs to re-message in these situations where there's a black agitator attacking him with a question. He needs to quit saying, I'm the best president since Abraham Lincoln. Okay, Sean, that's a Sean Hannity thing. You pounded that nail. It's so deep in the wood, you can't see it. And everyone's tired of hearing it.
Yeah, I know.
So Donald, I know you have people listening to Jim Peters at night because he is 143 shows in. He's getting potential great guests and has and will in the future. What Donald Trump should have stood there and said, I understand your frustration with me, but can you help me out? Can you tell me the 3 things? Sounds like you voted for Democrats your whole life. Tell me 3 things throughout your lifetime that have made a difference that the Democrats have done for you. And just fucking drop the mic and wait for this stupid, angry broad to come up with 3 things, or say, well, I'm not here to answer your questions. Okay. But then I'm going to ask this to the crowd in general.
Yeah.
Your families have told you to vote for the Democrats your whole life. Some haven't. Harris, obviously you haven't. You don't think and I'm not saying all of you guys think similarly, but that's the connotation this kind of a meeting has. We're all united against me.
Yeah.
You're all united against me. Can you explain to me what they've done that's so great for you in your neighborhood, for your color of people? And just leave it at that. Get away from him pounding his own chest.
I know. That's my primary complaint with him. You know, he's a serial exaggerator, you know.
Yes, which is great. That's
worked in the past, but the thing is, I agree. I think he has to spend more time actually talking
he
about.
Only gets 4 more years, and he needs to get the momentum going for the next 40 years of we're done with this. You will never fill out a form that you have to state your nationality. It's immaterial because we don't care.
Yeah.
That's got no bearing on anything. What are you? What flavor of ice cream are you?
You were talking about you know, how racism dividing us. So even with this campaign now, Harris is already, so she's got white dudes for Harris, you know, white women for, I mean, they're already slicing and dicing the crowds based on, you know, gender and race.
No, we've said our government is the most racist organization on the planet.
Yeah.
I mean, they are. They are the KKK.
Yeah, they are.
They have lied to the black population of America to be subservient. And you know what? I guess that's as good as it gets. And unfortunately, the blacks up to this point have agreed or tolerated it or whatever that is. I don't know. I'm not one. I don't understand it. And so I'm not going to claim this is how they should change or fix it, other than look in the mirror and say, what are the 3 things this bullshit has given me that's better?
Nobody ever thinks
there'll be 0.
I think, Jeffrey, one of the problems is that Democrats, by their nature, are just very emotionally oriented. They don't see, there's not a lot of logic involved here. So,
but that can have an emotional, right? I mean, you can answer that with emotion.
That's true.
Like, I got to go to college.
Right.
Great. How did that work now that you're successful when they take half your paycheck?
Yeah.
Now you can start to have a conversation about, that sucks.
Yeah, but I don't understand why people don't think of that on their own. It's like, you know,
it's America, man.
That's
We're
right. It is
freaky experiment.
The fact, you could make an argument that the Democrats themselves have come to the conclusion that a certain part of their crowd is basically what you call low information voters. They just basically they gaslight them constantly, and I think maybe 10 to 20% of them buy all of it. So, you know, they kind of count on that. I don't know.
Yes. Yeah. And then the ones that think differently are ostracized.
Yeah.
Clarence Thomas. Clarence Thomas should be the most well-known name in black communities as a guy that started from nothing and became a Supreme Court justice.
Yeah.
No, not at all.
No,
not at all. J.D. Vance started with nothing. He's the vice presidential candidate. Those are what American stories used to be about.
Yeah.
Not some guy flopping his junk out because he thinks he's a woman and he's going to be different.
Yeah. Or special.
You know, you can't call him weird.
No.
Don't say weird.
No.
Don't say weird. No. You know, Pete Buttigieg isn't weird.
No.
He's a normal white dude.
I've been thinking about identifying as a president of the United States. How could you argue with me? You know,
you can't.
That's my identity. You know, and they'll say, "Well,
I want a motorcade."
That's right. I should have one. I'm going to go to the White House and say, I want to get going.
I'm here.
House. Right.
And again, how this press has been able. I mean, I think Kamala and Obama there's going to be some serious problems coming in the next 90 days as the voters try to figure out how did they just reassign Kamala to take Joe's place without any We elect people for this stuff.
Right.
We go in and
Right.
cast a vote, a secret vote to say who we want. The citizens do, the people that are financing this fucking experiment. And that has gotten a severe cut.
What do you say to people? I've been reading more and more online where people are finally saying that this whole episode basically revealed the fact that Obama has been running things behind the scenes after
Yeah.
all.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
And if that's what you want, then we're Venezuela.
well, yeah. And that's the problem.
And that's fine. You want to run to the top of the hill as fast as you can because the shit's going to be at the bottom very quick.
Yeah. I just,
Whether, to your point, it's AI taking your menial job that you're taking on extra to pay your boat payment that's because you wanted a boat or whatever that extra job was is going to get sucked up by a robot and AI.
I don't see how any of my liberal friends here in Minneapolis, and I'm surrounded by them because this is such a liberal place. I don't see how any of them could look at the last 4 years and say the economy's gone well. There's just
No.
I don't see it. You
They
know?
can say it as much as they want in the press,
Yeah.
but no one trusts the press. And again, they haven't learned and they're not going to. So people argue, well, the press should figure it out. Screw the press. You're the new press.
That's true. That's
Having these
absolutely right.
conversations is what built America. Sitting around, having an argument, not taking swings at each other, but hearing the other side and then saying, man, maybe I am wrong, or I should look into that, or you know what? You should look at this and let's talk about it again in a week.
Yeah. Well, I've told you, I get the counter argument from my friends. They always say to me, you know, when I mention something, they'll say, well, where are you getting your information from? You know, and it's like, I read 100 news stories a day. My information is fine.
Right,
No.
right. Because I read all sides of it. I don't watch Fox News for a reason. I already know what they're going to say. I watch Morning Joe.
Yeah, and
I want to
I was
see
looking for that.
what my competition is thinking. How are they analyzing what's going on? What's their angle?
Yeah. Well,
You only have a certain amount of time. Why do you want to go listen to the old baseball game that's been playing replays for 24 hours a day on Fox News?
You know what
There's
the answer to
nothing.
that, Jeff, you know what the answer to that is? Hot chicks.
There you go. Yeah, eye
That's
candy.
That's my problem.
I just wanted to say, I know Kamala's supposedly going to do this vice presidential pick naming in the next few days. Our governor, Tim Walz, has been on this list. He's not going to be it. It's Minnesota only has 10 electoral votes. They want the 20 out of Pennsylvania for sure. But if in Weird World, if Tim Walz is named the vice presidential pick, we have a story to break, and we'll break it here. Conk has a story. We've got it in the can. We're ready to run it. If Tim Walz becomes the vice presidential pick, we're going to run a story. We've tried to get press credentials. We just can't get it. I mean, when I say we, it's me and the turd in my pocket. I can't get through, and my schedule doesn't permit it. But I will come on your show sometime next week and break this story.
Okay. All right.
So if he doesn't become the vice presidential pick, we're going to hold it.
Okay.
It's going to be like the Trump video where he said, yeah, you just get in the corner and grab their crotch, right?
Yeah. Right.
This thing will make Tim Walz, the Tim Walz administration squirm. And we don't want to just waste it on, we want to make it as effective as possible.
That's pretty cool. Yeah.
And so it's me. I'm all set. I've done I've done all the checking and and if someone proves it wrong, great. I wouldn't have any problem with it, but from my sources and everything I know, Tim Walz will have to explain some things. So we'll see. Again, like I say, I think she's going to Pennsylvania this weekend. I don't know. Is it Shapiro? Is that the governor there?
Shapiro, yeah.
I don't know anything about
I don't
him.
know. It's interesting. Although I don't know if I'd bet on Tim Walz, I still think he might get it. You know, that's the thing. I don't know if I.
Oh yeah, he's a smarmy bastard. So yeah, luck has fallen in his lap more than once.
Oh,
so.
for sure. I mean,
yeah,
that's right. From high school football coach to vice president of the United States. Yeah,
yeah.
Oh, but I do have to ask you before we go here, though. What do you think your chances are winning? Because I still don't think they're very good. But
Kamala.
Yeah.
I mean, I was with enough liberals. I just said, hey, she's supposed to be your pick. First of all, they should have taken Joe out with the 25th Amendment.
Yeah.
For health reasons. That's
right.
That's what our process is. And then
I do have to ask you though. I still think that might happen. I don't think that's likely, but I still think he might end up. You know, I have a bet with a friend of mine that on January 19th, 2025, he's not going to be president. And I still think that might happen.
And that might just be a total health issue.
Yeah, right. Nothing else, right.
And the other thing is, hopefully Iran and Israel don't start
we even get to that, but my God,
rest of World War III.
World War III, I know. So
I mean,
Jesus. And at this point, Iran almost certainly has a nuclear weapon, and maybe several. I had a Iranian journalist call in 2-3 weeks ago, and this guy said that by October they're going to have 100 of them, and I believe him. I do.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. Well, and when the head honcho over there says those guys need to pay, it's already in the works.
That's right.
It's just a matter of when they say do it.
It is. It is. Well, Nate Silver said this week, he said that even though the actual vote count looks really close, unless something drastic happens, Trump will clobber her in the Electoral College. So I don't know. That's kind of what I think.
Yeah. Again, are you better off after 4 years of Biden-Harris? Yes or no?
I don't see how.
And if you say yes, you are in the 1%.
Yeah. That's right.
And you know what happens to the 1% in a national vote? You don't count. You don't fucking count. I mean, you can stamp your feet and cry and blow the tires off your Lamborghini, but your vote don't count.
I drive a Fiat, so my vote counts. Hey, Jeffrey, this has been great. This is terrific.
Thank you.
And I will. Yeah, if Walz gets that nomination, you'll come back.
I'll get a hold of you ahead of time so we can get it scheduled. And I'm all ready to pop this story. So.
Oh, we got to do this because I left this for you, and here's the front page of Conk News in real time. Matter of fact, this flipped over since the last time since I set it up. So
I wanted to talk. So one of the things that I finally got done is our URL is conk.com, conk.com. But our headline, our headline there says conk.news. If you enter conk.news into your search browser, it'll redirect you to conk.com.
Yeah.
We're hoping that improves our traffic. I don't answer to advertisers because I finance this thing. I don't want to listen to any bitchy advertisers. And I get to pick the news sources, and I get to have Jim's picture there and sponsor this great show.
Nice.
So
Thank you. Appreciate it. Yeah.
Conk.news. Check it out. Stories flip every 3 hours. It can get buggy because we're using the way our servers go. Grab it. If there's a bad link, you'll see blank spots, but we try to get them corrected as fast as possible.
It doesn't happen very often, though, does it?
No, but last week we had some bug, and I was, my internet was run by a gerbil in the middle of Kenya, and but we got to figure it out within a few hours, 12 hours. So I appreciate everyone that comes and checks out the news. Go to these news sources. They're great conservative news sources. We don't touch the headline. We don't touch the picture. It is what it is. They worked at hard to get this article written, and they wanted this headline. It's their headline, and we couldn't be more proud to help them get their word out.
And it isn't just that this is free. You don't have to register or
No.
sign in or nothing. It's
Right. Just go look at it.
Yeah, it's at conch.com, right? Or conch.news, either one.
Whatever.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you, Jeffrey.
Thank you, Jimmy.
I'm glad
Talk to
we
you
had a
soon.
chance to do that. So yeah.
Say hi to your mother for me.
Hey, we'll do. We'll do. So
All right.
hi to yours too.
I will. Peace, brother.
Jeffrey Meyer. He's the CEO and publisher of Conch News. Always great to talk to him. Sounds like it's quite an adventure he had over in Africa. I've never been there. You know, I've been to Paris, and he's right. Everyone's still smoking. It's 70 years. No one gives a crap. Well, okay. So you want to call up? This is the time to do it now. Otherwise, we're gonna call it a night. I want to thank everybody for calling in. I guess there was a lot of people, but Santa called in. That's good. So, you know, Jeff touched on this, so we didn't have a chance to talk about this today. So, in the last 3 days, Israel has killed 2 of the major Hezbollah and Hamas leaders, and Hamas, or actually by extension, Tehran. Jeff alluded to this. They're mad as hell, and like he said, they said people are going to pay, and I mean we are very dangerously close to a major war here. And I'll be honest, I don't trust the Biden administration to handle this correctly. I don't think they will. I mean, the amount you won't find a more incompetent political administration than these people. It's been terrible, just terrible. I was talking about this before Bill O'Reilly, who Jeff says is my boyfriend, was talking about the fact that Joe Biden is going to go down in history as the second worst president ever, and the only reason James Buchanan isn't going to beat, he's not going to beat James Buchanan, is because James Buchanan basically caused the Civil War. That's the only reason. So yeah, all right. So the thing is, so we don't have a show tomorrow night. I'm like, you heard Jeffrey said, say hello to my mom. I'm going to help my mother move tomorrow. She turned 100 last week, and she's moving to an assisted living facility finally after 100 years. I mean, I just thought of this. My father has been passed now for 35 years, and she's been living on her own for 35 years, very successfully, actually. And that's the thing, you know, if you know her, she's like a steamroller. She doesn't really need any help, but she's decided it's time to be a little on the safe side. So, and I don't blame her, you know, I don't. So I'm helping her. It's the first of the month tomorrow, so she's moving. So that's why I'm taking that off. We'll be back on Monday. We have Martin Willis from Podcast UFO on Wednesday. I got a couple people I've been trying to get on next week for Tuesday and Thursday. I'm not going to mention anything until we have that confirmed. But we'll have that up on our website. So, you know, we post our guest schedule on the website, usually about a week ahead of time. So yeah, there's that. And so I want to thank you folks for watching. 1 year. Yeah, it's been and you know, here's the interesting thing. You know, Jeff was saying, you know, 143 shows. Well, you know, I mean, you go to Rumble, and there's people, there's people, a lot of people who have done a couple thousand shows. And so I don't know if you know this, you know, basically the 2 major pioneers on podcasting are Joe Rogan and Adam Carolla. And both those guys ran their podcasts for 10 years. And I don't know, I don't think Rogan started doing his every day, but I know Carolla did. He did his 5 days a week. They did 10 years without seeing any money whatsoever. And I assume this is true of Carolla. I know that Rogan had at least a paid producer. He had one person helping him the entire time. So he's shelling out of his pocket for 10 years, you know, before he saw any money at all. Now these guys are making, you know, well, Rogan's making $100 million. Now, obviously, that's probably not all going into his pocket, but still, that's what they're paying him. That's what Spotify pays him. And I think Adam Carolla works for Podcast One. I think they're paying him similar. So, but it's a long haul. I mean, I just saw Ben Shapiro's has, I think, 20. He has 2,600 broadcasts so far. So, if I do this for 10 years, I'll only have 1,400 shows. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Any rate, something to work for. Queers for Palestine. Yay. Actually, Jonathan Tobin said it better. Or no, what am I talking about? No, Bibi Netanyahu, Gays for Gaza. That's better. Has a nice ring for it. To it. Yeah. Anyway, so we won't be here for tomorrow. We'll be back on Monday. I want to thank you folks very much from the bottom of my heart for watching and listening this entire year. I want to thank our sponsor, Conch News. Really appreciate it. And all the regular guests we have on here. Too numerous to mention right now, but we have guests our regular guests usually come on about once every 6 weeks. So want to thank them too. I wrote everybody an email today and thank them. And once again, you for watching and listening. Thank you. Good night, Esperanza. Good night, Uncle Donnie. And good night to you, wherever you are. We'll see you on Monday. Take care. Have a nice weekend, everybody.